guys already know this the main one tapping in all the way from H-Town, Houston, Texas. I'm here with my boy T.A.G.
T.A.G.
T.A.G sucks.
T.A.G, very nice, very evil.
T.A.G's no killer.
Yeah, that's T.A.G shit.
Whose house? T.A.G's house, baby.
The only thing we're gonna do is take over, baby.
Oh, it's true. It's damn true.
Free fall as I dive through the kaleidoscope in my mind. No rope up to climb. Gotta remind myself that I'm fine. Mama.
What up, T.A.G Nation? It's your boy, Mr. TPC, Big ScooterRay, and I'm here with another edition of NXT.A.G. And you know what I'm saying? Let's go ahead and get into it. The show opens up with Grayson Waller. Yes, Grayson Waller. He comes in and he pretty much kind of hijacks like the first 10-ish minutes of NXT. And I'm not gonna lie, he was spitting bars. He was pretty much saying like the last 2 years of his career has been just kind of a no-go. He was like, the first year he was carrying Marty Jannetty around, 240 pounds of dead weight in Austin Theory. And he was like, the last year I had to pretend I was part of a funeral for the better part of a whole time. But then he was like, but hey, it's a new day. Wink. And he's trying to prove that, you know what I'm saying, he's that dude. And he was basically saying not only that, he's trying to prove he's that dude, but pretty much the NXT men's locker room is soft. Old school Enzo Amore. SAWFT. Soft. And he was getting his bars off, and he was pretty much saying, and not only was he getting his bars off, but I can appreciate him kind of saying that, hey, I realized in order to become something major, I need to win that NXT championship. Because he was like, you had men like Finn, Braun, Sammy, Finn, Nakamura, KO, and look what they became in the WWE. And then he was like, hell, look at Braun, Trick, and Oba right now. So he was like, in order for me to, I guess, propel to that superstardom, I need to win that NXT championship. So I was like, all right, Grayson out here spitting bars to open up the show. So hey, Grayson Waller is currently back on NXT. So you know what I'm saying? He's trying to get that NXT championship so that way he can raise his stock. Then we cut to the back with Miles and Tavion talking. So if you remember, per the agreement, Miles is going to take on Cam Hendricks. And if Miles retains, Miles and Tavion get a tag team shot with Vanity Project. So while Miles and Tavion are talking, Mason Rook walks up, and Mason was like, hey, I'm trying to get my hands on Cam. And then Tavion was like, bro, you can do what you need to do, but let Miles handle his business first. Then, you know, have at it kind of energy. So more on that in a bit. But the show does open up. Lizzy Rain taking on Izzy Dane. And not only I just realized the Lizzy and Izzy match, but Dame and Rain loosely rhymes as well. Sorry, but pretty solid match. You can tell this was more to kind of raise Lizzy stock more than anything, personally speaking, in my case. Mainly because you can tell, I don't want to say Izzy necessarily hit the ceiling, but I'm going to assume soon they're going to update something with Izzy. Because if it's just her and Nico as the Cullen, either the Cullen is about to disband and Izzy's going to just be Izzy and Nico's going to be Nico, but it's going to be something. And maybe the character at some point will change, but right when Izzy could have got the dub, causing with distractions with Nico and all of these things. Spears does show up, cause the distraction, distraction, interference, and chaos / confusion. And from that, Lizzy is able to hit Thunderstruck. 1, 2, 3. Lizzy Rain gets the dub. And there was a backstage segment with her, and she's pretty much saying, she's kind of vying for the championship, the NXT championship. And she's pretty much saying that, she's going to pay attention to the NXT Underground match between Lola and Kendall. I'll get more on that later. And that, she kind of throwing her name in the hat for getting that championship opportunity. Then we get a segment where we get Noam, Romeo, and the new NXT superstar, Cruz Montana. I have to get used to calling him that. Cruz Santana, aka formerly known, let's say that FKA, Mike Santana. Cruz Montana, formerly known as Mike Santana. I have to get used to saying Cruz Montana. Cruz Montana, Cruz Montana, Cruz Montana. I'm gonna have to remember it on some Wiz Khalifa Black and Yellow type shit. But the three of them are back there talking, and pretty much they're welcoming Cruz to NXT and everything. And then when they leave, Kalani walks up, and then Cruz was saying, yeah, you were doing your thing as the Knockouts champion. And they was talking some more because Kalani is trying to get on that whole, why should she still be, why? Basically, she was saying, you have to be used to trying to fit in by not getting title opportunities and all of these things. And as she was rambling on, Cruz walks off, and then she turns back and she was like, oh, great. He wasn't listening too. Maybe he may fit in here. Maybe he may fit in because he's ignoring me too. So she walks off with that. Then Stone is in the back talking to Vanity Project, and Drake is making statements about becoming North American champion. Of course, they also with Baylor and Smokes about who they potentially could be defending the tag team championships against, because like I mentioned, if Miles retains, then Miles and Tavion get tag team title shots next week. So there's that. And then Keanu Carver walks in, and Vanity Project is leaving, and Keanu's kind of like, I know you saw what happened kind of energy. And Stone was like, yeah, I know what EK and all of them did. And then he was like, I just simply want to match with EK. And Stone was like, that's it? He was like, that's it. And they shook hands, and Stone was like, I don't know what's happening here. Like, why are you being a different person kind of energy? So then we get the first vignette of Lola Vice pretty much talking about the NXT Underground match and her preparing for it and this, that, and the third. Now, Lola Vice is 4-0 in the NXT Underground match. Shayna Baszler, Natalya, Kalani, Jada. I know Jada and Kalani is like swapped around, but she's 4-0. She's going against Kendall Gray in this Underground match next week. I really don't want them to break her streak of losing the Underground matches, but then at the same time, I don't want her to win back the championship because it's in the Underground match, if you know what I'm saying. It's like, since this is your domain, you are for domain expansion. NXT Underground. Sorry. For the JJK watchers out there. I don't want her to win this match simply because the Underground is her match. You know what I'm saying? But then I don't want her to lose this match because the Underground is her match. I know. You guys just walk with me here, y'all. You guys just walk with me here. But yeah, then we finally get that match. Cam Hendricks taking on Miles Bourne for the North American Championship. It's a pretty solid match. So my big issue between Cam Hendricks and Mason Rook and a little bit of Tristan Angels. I understood with the big call up, and this is one of the things that Grayson Waller was saying. He was saying you had all of these guys coming in, and they just really want to come in and just say that they're WWE superstars to put it in their bio. They want to be out there making TikToks and everything. That I'm pretty sure 90% of the people back there wished, 90% of the people back there thinking they can be called up. But let's be honest with you, 10% are ready to be called up, and those 10% are the women. Like, he was pretty much running down the men of NXT, pretty much running them down. And I think that that's going to be one of the issues that I think subconsciously was a bad way that they was introducing everybody, since they was kind of trying to do this whole chaotic era. The way they introduced Cam and Mason and Tristan, EK and Tate and all of these people, it was like we didn't get a proper way. And then of course Cam getting hurt. So it's like, it doesn't help that these gentlemen who y'all was like, hey, pay attention to these guys. They may be the next up in NXT. Not only you did it, but then you're kind of halfway shoving them down our throats. And it's like, we don't even get a chance to really know if we really like these dudes or not. Yeah, Mason Rook has he's big, he's bad, he'll body slam, yeah, that. But Mason Rook hasn't even had enough matches like that in NXT. And then Naraku, if I'm not mistaken, has less than 5 matches in NXT. 2 of them were championship matches. And it's like, you know what I'm saying? Like, it could be me. It could be a me thing. But Cam did give Miles a pretty good fight here. It wasn't like one of them things to where it was like, oh my gosh, this shouldn't have even been a fight. No, it was a pretty decent fight, and it was pretty much, I guess, allow me to reintroduce myself kind of thing, because Cam is going to be one of the people that obviously they want to build up as one of the next stars, whether he stays in that mid-card, upper mid-card range in the North American Championship bracket, or whether he may be a main eventer later on going into next year. You know, but that's just a me thing. Mason does come out, and Tavion is stopping Mason. At one point, he even jumps on Mason's back, and then he goes, Mason, just wait. Let them finish. You can have at them. And right around then, Cam is kind of distracted about Mason coming. And then eventually Miles hits born again. 1, 2, 3. Mason does come in, starts beating up on Cam. And then as Tavion and Miles are kind of in the ring, Vanity Project slides in and they start a beat down. But ultimately, Tavion and Bourne gets the upper hand on the beat down. Then we get a segment back with Jada and Thea Hale, and pretty much Jada was, saying thank you to Thea for, coming out there, doing what she did, and kind of secretly having her back. And she was like, I know I can be much, but you've been solid. And Thea was like, she appreciates that. And, it's kind of lonely being in this NXT locker room by yourself and this, that, and the third. And she was like, but I do have to tell you, Stone put us in a tag team match, you and I taking on Carmen and Nikita. And Jada was like, okay, bet. And Thea was like, wait, you're not mad? And she was like, no, that's cool. I'm fine with that. And, they kind of like hug it out. And, Jada was giving that, okay. But, ultimately she was fine. So tag team match next week. But I'll run down the matches if I remember everything for next week. Lizzy is back there. I told you earlier about Lizzy celebrating backstage. She's eating the KFC popcorn chicken while getting interviewed, and then Tristan comes, and Tristan, of course, is giving the whole "you should be ashamed as an English woman being influenced by Shiloh, and you pretty much kind of doing these American things, and you know, all this hoopla. And that was pretty much it. OTM segment, because OTM is taking on Birthright. And then Los Perros del Mal, Berto and Angel from AAA come up, and they pretty much having a conversation, and you know, they're pretty much letting them know that, hey, we understand this NXT thing, but don't forget, you part of the gang, you know what I'm saying? You part of the Los Perros del Mal, you know what I'm saying? And you know, of course, Lucian is kind of like, what's up, dog? You know what I'm saying? Kind of like that. Whose side are you really on? Like, are you rocking with me in OTM? Are you rocking with your boys over here in AAA? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, what's good kind of energy. More on that later. Zarya is back there talking to Stone, and she's pretty much like, who's my next challenger going to be? And then Ren kind of comes in, Bars, and she's like, hey, who's my next challenger going to be? And then Zarya was like, look, the Women's North American Championship is more important than your Speed Championship. Plus, you got to have a tournament and all of that. And then when she was talking about challenger, Ren was like, why can't I be a challenger? Kind of energy. So Stone was like, okay, let's do this. Ren and Zarya are going to have a Women's Speed Championship match next week. If Ren retains, of course, she gets to have a title opportunity against Zarya. But of course, if Zarya wins, she'll be Zarya 2 belts. And even Ren took a shot at that because she was like, well, yeah, the last double champ was so rude. Is of course, you know, Zarya got mad about that and everything. So we'll see what happens with that. Then I think it was before the Birthright and OTM fight, they showed Kendall's segment with the NXT Underground. And, you know, she's training in her wrestling because that was one of the things Lola was saying. Lola was like, I understand the wrestling thing and I understand that, but, you know, this is a fight we're going to have. And I don't necessarily know how much of your wrestling is going to do it. But then they showed her, she was doing her wrestling, and she even enlisted Julius Creed to help her out with the wrestling aspect of things. So we'll see come next week. Then we get Birthright, OTM, and of course Birthright being represented by Stax and Uriah. Pretty solid match. The only thing that was kind of a little OTM was really taking over this whole fight. OTM was really, you know, kicking Uriah and Stax's ass, especially Lucian, because they're kind of giving Lucian this whole, he's super aggressive, you know, just you know. Then this is the part of the match that confused me, because there was times where Birthright was interfering. Of course, that being Charlie and Alexis. They were kind of doing things to interfere and get involved. Berto and Angel comes out. So as Berto and Angel are coming out to kind of face off with Charlie and Lexus, Bronco slides out to get in between them to kind of break it up. And I'm like, why? They wasn't going to get y'all disqualified, so why are you breaking up what Angel and Berto possibly may do to Charlie and Lexus? And from that, Uriah and Stax get the upper hand on Lucian and gets the dub. Then, of course, they all get in the ring. Lucian is kind of like, man, get your hands off me kind of situation. But he loosely daps up Bronco in the end. So we'll see where this goes. Then we get a segment of Callie. It's kind of, so I think the Kendall segment was after this match. But Callie is backstage after she watched the Kendall segment, pretty much saying how she wants a title match. Izzy is back there, was pretty much saying she wants a title match, even though she just lost. Then Kalani walks in and was kind of like, Oh, well, no telling. All of y'all may get title matches before me because I never get a one-on-one title opportunity. And they're kind of all going back and forth between each other. Then Reina Volcan walks in and she's like, hey, this division is kind of like a how did she put it? It kind of keeps going. It's like it's like a revolution. It was something she said pretty much by saying, you know, this division, this stuff don't stop. Like, and kind of get with it or get lost. So pretty much she's saying, shit, I may be next up like you bullshit. Why? We getting Shiloh and Tristan again. Shiloh wins. Then we move on to the main event segment. Cruz Montana comes out and he's pretty much saying, you know, he never thought he could ever say that he would be a WWE superstar, you know, officially signed. And, you know, of course, kind of like what Booker T kind of says loosely, checks and championships. But, you know, he's running down his story by saying, you know, there was times that he didn't think he was going to be here and not be here as wrestling, but in life, because, you know, where he grew up at, he had to do some things. You know, he's not a saint, but more and more he's trying to be a better man and be a better man that his daughter can be proud of, and this, that, and the third. And after he kind of runs down everything he's saying, of course, making his stake and claim to the NXT championship, Tony D does come out, and Tony D says a few things, and then Montana and Tony D kind of get face to face, and then Grayson comes from behind. I want to say he pushes Tony D into Santana, or Santana into Tony D, one of the two, and then he hits Montana. I really have to get used to that man's name. Maybe because Santana and Montana are too close together. You know what I'm saying? But funny, I didn't have this issue with Ricky Starks becoming Ricky Saints. So I got to get used to saying Montana. Cruz Montana, Cruz Montana, Cruz Montana. See, I brought it back. He hits Montana with that, you know, snap right hand, kind of drops him. Then Tony D and him start getting into a fight. Tony tries to hit him to the dead to rights, and then he gets the upper hand on Tony D, and pretty much Grayson gets the upper hand. He's outside the ring. Then Tony D and Santana are kind of in the ring, and then 9 o'clock hits. So there you go. And that was NXT. You know, especially about now, we have a 4-week build until Heat Wave, you know. So I guess we're going to start seeing some things moving and shaking to get us towards Heat Wave and to see what matches we're going to get, because with Heat Wave going to be on the same day as AEW All In, you know they're going to try to throw as much as Heat Wave as possible to try to make the show worth it. But welcome Cruz Montana to the NXT roster, and we'll see where this goes. We'll see where this goes, how far it goes, and, you know, how long is it before he gets that championship? You know what I'm saying? But yeah, that's where we at, y'all. Cruz Montana, formerly Mike Santana. Cruz Montana, yeah. So, and that's my time, y'all. Whether y'all love it or hate it, don't forget to rate it, thumbs up, thumbs down. Leave all your likes, comments, concerns, all that down below in the comment section. If you haven't already, make sure you tag that subscribe button and then tag that notification bell so you can be notified for when we post videos. Shout outs to Lil Dizzle, Jacob Bombastic, Juggernaut, aka The Juggernaut Show, Leo, aka Kicking It with Leo, the current reigning, defending NXT T.A.G predictions champion. And thank y'all, Tag Nation. And until next time, love one another, take care of one another, love yourself, and love others. You know what I'm saying? No need to be a hater out here in these streets. You can't be a hater all your life. And until next time, you beautiful, beautiful human beings out there, don't forget to tag out. Hit y'all with this. Bam. I know with my camera you couldn't really see it that good, but it's fine. Till next time, people. Peace.
Free fall as I dive through the kaleidoscope in my mind. No rope up to climb. Gotta remind myself that I'm fine. Mama.